Daniel Kariuki ambaye amekuwa akifuatilia taarifa hii ya hotuba ya rais katika majengo ya bunge. Daniel Kariuki, vipi, unanipata?
Naam, asante sana, na umesema kweli kabisa. Nimekuwa nikifuatilia kuhusiana na hotuba hii ya rais, na kwa sasa kwa haraka tu nijiunge naye Senator Moses ambaye atakuwa akituelezea kuhusiana na hotuba ya rais. Thank you very much for joining us. Of course, President William Ruto has cancelled the Adani deals. What do you make of this?
I don't think that was the most urgent need for Kenyans. It is very clear that Kenyans are now concerned about the state of the economy. And from the President's presentation today, he has painted a very rosy picture of the economy. But for those of us who represent the people at the grassroots, particularly in rural counties and constituencies, people are suffering, there's no money in the pocket, and there's no food in the stomach. It looks like President William Ruto lives in an alternate universe, because his expression and his report to Parliament today indicates a country where everyone is prosperous, where everyone is well fed, and where everyone has got money in the pocket. And I think that there's still a lot of work to be done. 2.5 years into the administration, this is not the time to tell us about intention. This is a time to tell us about the results that have been delivered as a result of conscious and deliberate actions that have been undertaken in the last 2 years. The fight against corruption, I think the President has just papered over it. In my estimation, right now what Kenyans are more concerned about is, let's stabilize the economy, let's put food on the table, let's have money in people's pocket, let's tame the rising corruption, let's put our children to school, and let the education system be one that is predictable and that can deliver results, and let's have a healthy population. Those are the most important things. For Adani, it does not make sense for the state to go ahead and engage Adani and tell us that Adani is good, only for the President to come and drop a bombshell on the floor of the House. I think that is very good PR.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Senator Moses Kajwang. Of course, I'm joined by the Member of Parliament, Mokoroene, John Kagushia here. And President William Ruto has touched on so many areas. He has touched on matters to do with health. He has said that health is, the system that they have come up with is one that is going, once it is implemented fully, will solve all the issues to do with the healthcare in this country. What do you make about the health, the response by President on matters to do with health, and also the education funding? I remember there is a day that you raised an issue to do with the universities, and he has said that they found the universities struggling.
Let me start with the Adani, then I come to the health and education, and say that the issue of Adani is a very unfortunate situation in Kenya today, that we had to wait for America to indict and to cite Adani for corruption and bribery claims. And of course, all of us understand that with Adani being cited and indicted in America on the basis of bribery and corruption cases, it is technically impossible for Kenya to continue dealing with Adani. And so today what has happened in Kenya is just a response to what has been done in America. And so we cannot sit down here and clap for ourselves to say that we have listened to the ground or to have listened to the people, because we are only responding or reacting to what is happening abroad. Because we know very well, if as a country we continue now dealing with Adani, then the Bretton Woods institutions like IMF and World Bank would be cutting off any support and any partnership that we are having with them today. And of course, you know, with the coming of Trump, it's expected that we are expected to also be a little bit more forthright in how we deal in these matters. And so I want to say that we as members of Parliament, I want to challenge the members of Parliament, my colleagues, because it can't be that whenever the President says that something is bad, then we say it is bad. When he says it is good, then we say it is good. I mean, it makes us look very bad, like we do not have a voice of our own. And that is why I want to challenge Parliament today, that we must change our ways, and what is not good, we must say it is not good. And because our role is to oversight, and oversighting doesn't necessarily mean opposition, because that is how things are being taken these days. But I must say that I'm on record having condemned that whole arrangement of the Adani deal. The issue of SHA, I want to say that the whole system is a system, if properly implemented, can help our country. And as I challenge the people of the Republic of Kenya actually to register. But again, I also want to put it very clearly that we have issues that are also not working well with the SHA and the SHIF arrangement. Because first, we have invested so much money on the system, drawing money from the core areas which is healthcare, into addressing the issue of the system, which is not what we passed in the parliament. And that is now where my problem begins with the issue of SHA. It's actually said that the system we are using has not properly been tested before, and we are doing the test on the run. And that is why we have very serious transition issues. And so as much as we are releasing the monies without a proper arrangement on how this money is being taken to the correct institutions, then we can be sure of corrupt practices along the way. And so I want to say that as Parliament, we must again oversight this system even in a more deeper manner. Because as we are talking now, it is not serving our republic in the way it should. Because there are so many people today who are being asked to pay cash money instead of having proper system of refund from the SHA and SHIF in their health system. On the issue of education and funding program, we have a challenge because many university students were either put in band 4 and 5, and some of them are very needy and they needed to be in band 1, 2 or 3. And for that reason, some of them have not yet reported to the universities. And so as members of parliament, we must call it as it is. We must say where the problem is. And I want to say, if we have to properly address the issues of university funding, then we must ensure that all the people are in band 1, 2 and 3. And we should not have any person who is in band 4 or 5. Because in that regard, we are disenfranchising most of the university students who ought to have proceeded with their university studies without much problems. But today, we have so many of them at home.
Right. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa John Kagushia from Mukurweini. Of course, they have highlighted so many issues and we'll be keen to see how they are followed. And also, there are more members of parliament here. I think I can talk to Sabina Chege, nominated member of parliament. This is KTN News. Thank you very much for joining us. And President William Ruto has talked much about the ongoing killings on women. And of course, I heard women members of parliament applause the president on some of the directives that he has given out. What's your take about all this?
My take is it was important that the president has recognized what has been happening, especially to our young girls who are in colleges, young girls who have been lured by men in private residence, in Airbnbs. And we have seen very, grossy pictures. And it is important that the people who are in charge of the law enforcers, like today I saw in the social media, there are specific houses that are known, I don't know, they're in Kileleshwa. There are specific places that are known that these things are happening. So it is important, first and foremost, for the foreigners who are coming here to misuse our girls, they should be arrested and deported back. And, the latest one that we had, a foreigner who came and even attained to get a Kenyan ID, and he's not even a Kenyan, it's actually a very sad state. So the law enforcers, they should make sure that they check the people who are coming in, what are they coming in to do, whether they have money or not. If they're investors, what kind of investment. So it is important that we also, now that it's holiday seasons, we know even the girls who have gone home now, who are at home, parents go and leave them at home. You don't know what they are getting in social media. So it is important that we continue educating our girls, even the media, to help us, so that they don't get influenced by their friends. They are told, let's go for a party, and you don't know what you're going to do in that party. So for the president to have recognized and given that attention of femicide, we as the women of Kenya are very happy. But we also have a role to play. We will talk to the girls. We will need now to roll out the 16 days that the president mentioned yesterday, that we need to go now to our counties and to respective areas, even whether it's the colleges or where we can be able to meet these girls and talk to them. I think mentorship is very key. It is important because some of these girls are lured because they are told about money. It's also important to teach them on how to work hard, so that you don't go, you're told, let's go, you're getting 4,000, 10,000, then what after that? It's 10,000 worth your life. And I think we need to have this open chat. And now parents who have a very free session with their children, because not only girls, even boys are exposed. We have boys who are being lured to gazing. And I hear there are even apps on phones that they are being recruited. So it is important that we protect not only the girl child, but also the boy child. But I'm very happy that today the president has talked about femicide, because it is an issue that has really disturbed majority of us.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Sabina, of course, for talking to us. I'm now joined by Mheshimiwa Bensouda. Thank you very much for having a time to come and talk to us. Here, maybe you can just move to this side. And the president has said the economy is doing well, it's on its trajectory. What do you think about that, or what's your take about it?
In a nutshell, I want to say that this economy of Kenya had gone to its knees. But from statistics which we have been told, it means that we have started realizing and we are on the move so that we realize that things must change. My problem as a project monitoring and evaluation is monitoring the systems so that they are transparently accountable as he stated in his speech. And if that can be observed, then I'm very sure that the systems which have been put for automation and revenue collocation is going to serve the common mwananchi. I want to say that if the revenues can go high, farmers will be at peace, and then the people in the SME. This time, I didn't see or hear a lot of dwelling on small and medium enterprises, but I had on the farmers, I had on fertilizer, so that food production is more than importation. It is true that the dollar rates have also gone down to 129, as he said, per dollar, which is a good indication for our country that truly we are supposed to stabilize our shilling. But my question is, the common mwananchi is still not satisfied. The common mwananchi needs empowerment. The common mwananchi needs to be empowered in terms of employment, in terms of business. I'm very happy with the health system if that what is explained goes to our hospital. But I want to bring to the president's attention that most of our health hospitals, we are talking of systems, that is one, but we must focus on the infrastructure, because some of the hospitals, when we go, the infrastructural facilities are dilapidated. I'm happy with the program of Taifa scheme for the healthcare, because truly we must take care for the less fortunate. We must take care for the average class. But I want to acknowledge and applaud the president on the gender-based violence concern. Actually, I was very happy when he encouraged even the ladies that try and ensure that even the kind of men that we interact with are men who are people who can take care of you. That excited me. That made me rise on my feet. To our young girls, we must be very keen. We are calling upon the president that as he has promised to support the women, we as women representatives of this country, we are saying we want to open a practical gender-based violence desk in our 47 counties. A very good observation by the president. I know that you'll honor that promise.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Bensouda. And now I'm joined by Mheshimiwa Samson Cherargei from Nandi County, Senator Nandi County, and President William Ruto has said that now Kenya can sustain itself in matters to do with the sugar. That now we are looking forward to even exporting.
I think what he said, and we have statistics, especially I come from farming community in Nandi. And we did get subsidized fertilizer. That's why there is high yields of maize, and I'm happy the government has declared 3,590 kilos per bag of maize. There is the issue of beans, cereals, and virtually sugar. And I'm happy I was one of the biggest proponents of Sugar Act that the president signed into the law, and this will stop importation of sugar, which has affected my region, more so Nandi and Western Kenya. But I'm excited that we now have sustainable, and the issue I expected the president to issue memorandum of banning imports of not only sugar but even maize and others going into the future. On the issue of affordable housing, that is brilliant. For us in Nandi, we are doing 200. I think across the country is 160,000, more than 100 to 160,000 across the country. On the issue of Adani, I'm happy and excited that I didn't condemn the issue of Adani from the word go, especially on engagement in roads and transport. The issue of Adani deals with Ketraco and other agencies of energy. And you remember today in Bunge Towers, we did tell the CSOP and I to stop engagement with Adani. So I think Adani issue was never transparent. It was smelling and working like corruption. As they say, if it works, quacks like a duck, then it is a duck. And I'm happy the president is fighting corruption head on. What I didn't listen on the president is the fight against corruption, especially in counties, because most of the counties we are still struggling with the issue of corruption and financial impropriety. But the president has started well by cancelling the engagement of Adani Group. Even today in the morning, the Justice Department of US has indicted Adani for massive fraud and bribery. And even you remember the Swiss have also frozen more than $310 million that is linked to Adani Group. So I think this is significant. Let us engage with, when we are doing with engagement with public-private partnership, let it be open and transparent. But I'm happy the president has confirmed to the country that we have a stable economy and a stable political stability in the country.
Thank you, Cherargei, for giving us highlight. Now I have nominated Senator Tabitha Mutinda. Mutinda, thank you very much for making it here on KTN News. And the president said, as he started his speech, that there are things that have been raised over the last few months, and Kenyans have been feeling like they are not being addressed, and he was looking forward to address those issues. From his speech, do you believe he has addressed those issues that Kenyans have raised for quite some time, since the protests until now?
President has done excellent in this particular presidential address, because we've really seen he's been able to touch on the concerns. One of them also is women, being the issue of femicide, being the issue that our women are being killed. And I'm happy that he has set aside funding and also communicated that the deputy president will be able to lead, so that there's a framework on addressing these matters long term. I'm happy that now there's going to be an opportunity at the mashinani level, at the ground level. There can be the gender desk, not only in the police station where they've been and our people have not been able confidently to come out. So within the county levels, at the lowest level, there is going to be gender desk that when these issues occur, then these issues can be quickly addressed. The issue of the universal health care, he has touched it both on the digital aspect and also as chief and as SHA, and has been able to address the importance of the health matters, talking about the Taifa Care that is going to address both not only the chronic issues or chronic diseases that are supposed to be taken care by the same universal Taifa Care that is in place. It wholesomely addresses the issues that have been there. I'm also happy when it comes to the issue of housing. President has also been able to touch and made it be understood that the housing factor is not only offering employment to our young people, but also offering a basic need to our people, because that is what really takes a lot as far as the cost issue is concerned. So we are happy the issue of the pricing of fertilizer is also touched, that has also lowered the cost of productivity, hence food security in our country. He has climaxed it by really touching on the issue of Adani. This is an issue that also Kenyans had addressed, and this is an issue that he has been able to communicate and put it in on the floor of the House, that contract has been stopped, that contract has desist, and we are happy. And that is what we call listening. We saw the other time, even when there was the issue of the funding model, he also had an opportunity to go and engage the young, the students, the university students. That is the president we have. He's engaging the people. He's talking to the people. He's listening to the people. Remember the finance bill issue when there were protests. He was able to not to assent to it. He has also acknowledged that it is the right of the Kenyans to protest. There's no problem with that, but it should be constitutional. It should be able to adhere to the rule of law. So it's been positive, it's been flowing, and we are happy. There's progress.
Thank you very much, nominated Senator Tabitha Mutinda. Thank you very much also for joining us, Mheshimiwa. And definitely President Ruto has talked about the curriculum-based, the competency, CBC, competency-based curriculum, and said that in 2022 they found it not really on the right track, and they have tried to ensure that it comes back to the right track. And there has been concern about the preparation of transition of students from grade 8 to grade 9, and this is an issue that also was raised in the House at one point. Do you believe that the president has really talked about the CBC and tackled it as it should have been? Maybe you start with your name, maybe.
Yes, thank you so much. My name is Victor Koech Mandazi. I'm a member of parliament from Bomet County, Sepalungu constituency. Truly then, when we came in as Kenya Kwanza government, we realized then that CPC had a challenge because first of all, there were no teachers. Secondly, then there were no classrooms where these particular students were going to transition to. And particularly then, it wasn't so sure where they were going to be domiciled. We were talking about them going to secondary school, but then there were comparison of age that a young boy, young girls are going to be with their seniors in the senior secondary schools. Then President formed a task force, which then led into now the junior secondary school being domiciled in the primary schools. One thing that the President and the Kenya Kwanza government has done so well is on the employment of teachers. We all agreed then, when we came in as a government, so far we have employed 56,000 teachers, and the recent one they were concentrating on science teachers. There is one that is coming January, and the president alluded to the same. We are thinking that upon employment of these particular teachers, CBC is going then to be realized in due course. Right. It's going towards the right direction. That is all I can say.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa from Chepalungu constituency. Then I'm also joined by Kipkelion East Member of Parliament. Thank you very much for joining us here on KTN News. And the president says that the country is on its right trajectory. But there has been a back and forth. There have been concern. Kenyans feel like the country is headed on the right, on the wrong side, or rather not in the right direction. What's your take as the Member of Parliament for Kipkelion East?
First of all, my name is Joseph Cherorot, Member of Parliament from Kipkelion East. You've asked about the way the country is moving forward. I want to say that one thing we have to recall is that when the president took over, the country was at its lowest economically, and there were so many other challenges. Secondly, I think this problem has been piling up for quite a while, and there was no solution until when the president took over. And I want to say between now and the time that the president took over as the president of this country, there has been some challenges, and there was a storm which we are all aware until the replacement was done. Right now, I will say that the president is on the right track and is trying to fix this country. You've seen about what happened today, about the Adani issue, and also I would say that the speech of the president is very progressive. The biggest thing that the president did, and that shows that he's a good listener, is a president of the people, is cancelling of Adani project. And I want to say that this is a clear indication to our CSS and the ministries that whenever there is any project which is supposed to be done, any PPP or PIP projects, due diligence has to be done properly, so that when these projects are done, it has to be very clear that the company that is going to do it has got the capacity to do the project. Otherwise, the president also has shown a clear indication that he is ready to fight corruption, which he has been doing. And those who are actually practicing corruption in this country, this is a very good sign and a warning to them that we should stop corruption in this country.
Thank you. Thank you. Member of Parliament Kipkelion East, and now I'm joined by the CS Cabinet Secretary for Water. Thank you very much for joining us here on KTN News. And of course, President William Ruto has given his speech, his State of the Nation address. You sit in the cabinet. The issues that he has tackled, the issues he has addressed, from where you sit as a Cabinet Secretary, what's your take? Has he met the threshold? Has he addressed the issues as Kenyans wanted him to address?
I think the president has come out very clear on what is happening in the country. He has talked about corruption, which is very key amongst young people because they are all asking for service delivery. He has talked about differentiating between criminals and abductions, and he has come out calling for the police and other state agencies to be held accountable, which is what we are also advocating. He has come out clear that the nation is resilient, and he has come out about stakeholder engagement. He has been very clear on involving everyone, consulting widely, which is a policy I've also met in the cabinet, whereby before a decision is made, especially in our ministries, we're being advised to seek different opinions. Definitely, we all agree that it is impossible for all of us to agree 100%. But with proper consultations, better decisions are made. The wheel is slowly turning. And I think that is something to look up and to look positive about.
Right. You've talked about, the president has talked about protest. And when you talk about protest, he has said that sometimes it becomes difficult to identify protesters, criminals, and sometimes he's even mentioned bandits. You are the youngest cabinet secretary here, and definitely you've been keen on what the youth have been doing in the country. Do you believe, or rather do you think that the issue to do with the protest and the handling of youth affairs, the issues to do with the disappearance of young people is being addressed accordingly?
The issue on abductions, disappearances has come up in the presidential conversation, and he has acknowledged that there is need for us to be more vigilant. To handle this issue, we require a all-inclusive stake. The citizens, we have to do our part because this is our country. We have no any other country. The police have to do their part and be more vigilant in terms of how they do investigations. And all of us have to understand that it is our mandate to keep each other safe. As this issue goes around, I think we should focus more on service delivery. And that is what I'm very keen about, especially in the ministry myself. We are here to serve. Specifically, I am here to serve. And I am calling on young people out there to embrace service. Because any skill worth having has to be owned, and people have to work towards that. On matters water, I think I should also talk about water.
Definitely, it is your ministry, so you cannot avoid to talk about water. It's your ministry.
So we have a lot of potential in water. Right now it's even raining. And all this water ends up in our oceans and our lakes. But in a few months, we'll have dry sections in the country. And I have been very keen to push all our existing dams, especially the ones that are being constructed, to completion. That is one of my greatest targets. I know the value of stored water. It solves two birds. It kills two birds with one stone. Right. Whereby our drought problem is solved, and food security, which is part of my mandate, especially on matters irrigation, is solved. I have been to the Wake Dam, which was very contentious in the issue before. It had a little bit stalled, but as we speak right now, the contractor is on ground. I was to Mwache, already at 18%. Yesterday I was in Umadam, following up. And I'm thinking the next few weeks I'll be in Siwimurunyi. These are some of the main dams that are ongoing as we speak. With completion of these dams, and as I urge Kenyans to store water in their own small capacities to alleviate the menace of flooding in the lower Tana and Sabaki. Right. And also, we recharge our aquifers underground. Imagine this. Nairobi, we have so many playing grounds for children. If only during rain seasons, we give that water some time, a few minutes, 20, 30 minutes, for race to percolate. The issue of dry wells in Nairobi would reduce. But when that water hits our concrete jungle, it finds its way towards the downstream areas at the river. Then we have flooding in Adhi, at the river area. I'm calling on everyone who has a space, landscape in their place, to give water time to percolate. Even if it means doing a small less than 1 foot surrounding in your landscapes, to give that water some 30 minutes for percolation. We call it nature-based solutions, right, to recharge our groundwater. Exactly. Those are some of the things, conversations Kenyans are supposed to start having. Otherwise, our problems will intensify.
Thank you very much, Waziri, and definitely we'll be following to know how you are going to be doing these issues to do with water harvesting and also food security. We will be keen. Thank you for joining KTN News. And now I'm joined by the Senator for Embu, who is going to be talking to us, Honorable Mwirigi. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, on Saturday, President William Ruto was in Embu, and when he talked about matters to do with healthcare system, matters to do with the universal healthcare, there were some mamas here and there. In his speech today, he has said that the project is headed in the right direction and it is going to be fully implemented and Kenyans will see the fruits. Do you believe he has answered the worries that the people of Embu had on Saturday?
Hiyo mimi nikiwa senator wa Embu County nilikuwa pale, lakini hiyo kitu ilifanyika. Lakini ingesema hiyo kitu sio ile imefanya aseme hivyo, kwa sababu mimi ni mkaaji wa Embu, miaka mingi nimezaliwa huko. Ile kitu ilifanyika katika Embu ni vile watu walikuwa wengi, lakini wale watu walipigia rais wetu makelele, walikuwa wametoka county zile zingine ambaye ni nimba zetu, ambaye inaona Embu County juu ya economy na development ikiendelea vizuri. Kwa hivyo ile mambo ilifanyika, wale watu walipiga makelele, haikuwa watu wa Embu. Kitu kingine haikuwa aligusia mambo ya SHA, lakini ile kitu ningeshukuru Mungu ni kuwa siku ya leo serikali, rais wetu ambaye alikuwa leo kikao chake, hakuna mtu angefikiria vile amesema, ameongea mambo ya elimu, akaongea mambo ya afya na akaongea mambo ya agriculture, lakini ile kitu ameongea ya muhimu sana, ile watu angeweza kufikiria, anaweza kusema, kwa sababu unakumbuka siku ile alikuwa pale Embu, alisema wameongea na makanisa na bishop, na tumeona vile alisema kuna mambo waliongea, ni kama waliongea mambo ya Adani ambaye ya Kenya Airways ameputia mbali, na pia mambo ya Kentraco. Pia ameongea kuhusu economy ya Kenya ati imepandika kutoka 9% mpaka 2.7. Kwa hivyo ningeomba watu wa Kenya tuungane pamoja. Hii serikali ambaye ni ya muungano, ambaye ni ya Rais wetu William Ruto na deputy wake anaitwa Professor Kindiki Kithure, tuwaunganishe pamoja, tuweze kuwashikilia ndio economy yetu iweze kuendelea mbele. Kwa hivyo tumefurahia sana, na pia kitu kingine amegusia ni procurement yote bila hii citizen ivutiliwe mbali. Kwa hivyo tunamsupport, na ndio uliona wakati aliongea hivyo sisi wote tuliamuka na tukasema tunamsupport, kwa sababu aliongea kitu haikuwa inajulikana kama anasema. Kwa sababu wiki hii tumesikia huyo contractor anaitwa Adani, saa hii ni kama ako na kesi kubwa sana ya Amerika, na tumefurahia vile amefanya, hata dunia yote imefurahia na watu wote tumefurahia. Kwa hiyo tuungane pamoja juu economy iwe mzuri, ndio juu ya pesa mkononi. Asante sana.
Asante sana Senator Murigi kutoka kule kaunti ya Embu kwa kutupa hayo, na bila shaka tu asante sana. Definitely hayo ni maoni kutoka kwa viongozi mbalimbali, na tunapozungumza sasa kwa umbali nimemwona Rais William Ruto ameweza kuondoka katika eneo hili. Sasa kwa umbali pia namuona spika wa bunge la kitaifa na spika wa bunge na spika wa bunge la seneti na spika wengine ambao walikuwa hapo awali, kiwemo Ekwe Thuro, Kenneth Marende na vile vile Ken Lusaka upande wa seneti, pia wakiondoka katika eneo hili. Lakini nitaendelea kuwahusisha viongozi mbalimbali ili waweze kutupa maoni yao kuhusiana na hotuba ya Rais William Ruto, ambapo ameelezea kuhusiana na elimu. Amesema kwamba kulikuwa na upungufu wa walimu 100,000 zaidi ya 100,000, na kufikia sasa wameweza kuajiri walimu 56,000. Anasema kwamba wako kwenye mpango wa kuweza kuajiri walimu wengine 20,000, wakiweza kusonga kukaribia wale ama nambari ya walimu ambao walikuwa wamepungua pale. Wanasema walikuwa wanahitaji walimu 110,000 hivi, na sasa wameweza kuajiri 50,000, na kufikia sasa wanaajiri wengine 20,000, na wataweza kufunga mwanya ule ama kuweza kupunguza ukosefu ama upungufu wa walimu katika vituo ama katika masuala ya elimu. Na sasa ningependa tu kuzungumza tu, namuona kwa umbali seneta wa Narok ambaye ni Ledama. Asante sana kwa kujiunga na sisi hapa kwenye KTN News. Hapa ni KTN News. Bado umefunga? Hatujafunga, tuko wewe. Tuko hapa hivi, ndio maana tuko hapa kuhakikisha kwamba watazamaji they understand what is going on, and definitely you've been keen to the President William Ruto's speech, and he has tackled so many issues. And I start by asking, of course he has cancelled deals to do with the Adani deals. What's your take about this?
I think, let me focus on the issue of the Adani deal. As a member of the Energy Committee, my focus even earlier on today was to make sure that any deals that we commit public resources, whichever way, whether we are allowing injection of capital or money into this environment, they have to be above board. And we are quite happy with the new revelations, with the new information that have come up on the issue of allegation of bribery, the issue of questionable. I think you should have seen the stocks of Adani Group. They trembled when in New York, Adani was accused of bribing officials, hundreds of millions of dollars to try and get big deals. We have been dealing with this issue, agonizing with this issue, but we are happy that now it's out of the way, and now we have to look at the issues of the complexity when it comes to legal issues. If there's any agreement that had been officially dotted, like the Ketraco deals. I know with the JKIA deal, the agreement had not yet been reached, There was sort of like an agreement to engage and stuff like that. But the real agreement on deliverables had not been signed yet. So we just have to deal with that. So it is now upon the legal team, the Attorney General of this country, to be able to go in and scrutinize all those documentation. One of our biggest pet peeves, and particularly myself, was that there was a lot of clandestine activities surrounding the Adani deals. So we're not sure whether the deal had already been signed or it had not been signed. So we want them to be able to come out in the open and share with the public. Full disclosure is very, very important. So today marked the beginning of cancellation of those tenders, of those deals. Now we have to walk the path to see whether there is any legal consequences and what it means for the country.
Right. Now, the cancellation of Adani deals is the latest from President Ruto's turn around on matters that Kenyans have raised concern about. We saw the Finance Bill 2024. He withdrew the Finance Bill after a protest, and also there were Kenyans who are pushing and saying no, this issue should be looked into. And now this is another thing that has been the Adani deal has been cancelled. Does it mean maybe that the president might not be listening to maybe wanavyosema kule mtaani ground labda wakati mwingine? Because this is the second thing that
I think you've asked a question and they say, mgema muwe na haki yake mpe. The truth of the matter is that this issue of the Adani deal was something which in Parliament we questioned. My colleague here in the National Assembly questioned it. I questioned it in the Senate, and we are happy that we are not oblivious. We are not the only visitors in Jerusalem. We know what is happening outside the world, that people are questioning these conglomerate. So now the big question to ask is this, and this is why I'm even happy that my brother has joined me, because there are things that we need to do. And the National Assembly are the ones who deal with the issue of the budget. Right. Okay, and you talked about the issue of the finance bill. My concern with my brother here is very simple. When it comes to the issue of the proposals for taxes, one of the key most important things that I hope that my brother will be able to delete from the budget is that 5% withholding tax for the e-commerce sites, because that is something which might end up forcing this country to be able to lose all e-commerce. A company like Jumia will close down, a company like Glovo will close down, other new companies coming up, young people trying to sell things online. There's no way you can be able to withhold taxes. Imagine somebody is already selling you, let's say, a box of milk at 600 shillings. Then you add taxes. If suppose the milk, but in this case, milk is not taxable. I'm just giving it as an example. And then you collect the 16%. But the supplier, you still have to withhold another 5%. That is something that I'm hoping that the National Assembly, and the good thing is that my brother here listens. Because it's something we talk about. These are the debates. These are the debates that we talked about. Because if he doesn't, those are the consequences. So there is an issue of intended consequences and unintended consequences. So in this case, if he doesn't listen and he does away with the 5% withholding tax, the unintended consequences is like the e-commerce, which had seen a growth of about 16.5%, will collapse. So really, those are some of the things we are doing. So in this case, what the president did today, he showed that he listened. He observed what is happening around the world. And that's a good step, don't you think? Yeah.
Let me engage him. Let me engage him. Of course, are you deleting that clause?
That one,
that clause of 5%.
The Honorable Senator here
a good friend of yours.
is a good friend of mine. but also an interested party.
Amekupa mbuzi.
But wasema hivyo.
Hapana, kwani kuja kwangu kukula mbuzi na?
Yes.
Alafu
ulimpa mbuzi lakini si ya 5%.
Hapana, hiyo unajua, let me tell you, the key most important thing is that we are here to build this country. We are the ombudspersons. When you see this man stressing on this finance bill, namwangalia TV na murumia, he's working. He's under instructions.
Right.
So now I'm going to persuade him to remove that, and I think he will.
Senator, we just completed our public participation in 4 counties, and that is one of the matters that continues to come up.
Yes.
That the withholding tax on
e-commerce.
On e-commerce, the thinking by National Treasury is we have, say, somebody who has opened a shop at Sarit Center, and someone else who is selling things from, say, an apartment, selling the same service or selling the same product, the person who is selling it from a shop has more operational costs than the person who is selling them online. And therefore, what it automatically means is that one is disadvantaged more than the other. But also, one thing that came up was we also have shops.
Yes.
Let's say I am selling phones. I have a shop at River Road that sells phones. So I have two ways of selling those phones. One is physical, like you come into the shop, I sell you my phone. But I am also listed on, say, Jumia. So it means that that person, when they sell shops on Jumia, they withhold 5%. But when they sell physical, they don't withhold. So that essentially means that that person will not now engage in sale of products online because they're going to be more expensive. So those are some of the views that we've received from the public. How do we make sure that the people that are doing this business, say in apartments, offline, get to pay their fair share of tax without necessarily having to punish those that are already paying their fair share of tax and are selling that online. So those are the views that we receive from the public, but we will make sure we make the best decision for this country.
And I think the other interesting thing which is actually coming up is that when you now go to the developed world, you will go to a shop and you will want to buy a suit. You will only be shown the clothes that you will buy, but you cannot enter the shop and buy and go with it. They now have to go make it, or they'll get it from their warehouse, bring it to you, or ship it to you. So there's a cost implicated. But what we need to do is to encourage innovation. Encourage innovation. So those are the areas.
Mheshimiwa, you've really told him several issues that he needs to look into. Let's discuss about the speech of the president a bit.
We will have 3 days to talk about that.
Definitely. I think I'll look for the two of you and discuss these issues. President William Ruto has said that the economy is doing well. From where you sit as the member of parliament for Molo, what's your take? Kenyans feel like they don't have pesa mfukoni, but again the economy is doing well, that the shilling has stabilized versus the dollar. What do you say?
The truth is all economic indicators, interest rates, strength of the shilling, the growth of our GDP actually show that the economy is growing. But it's also true, it's also right, that the money is not being felt in the pockets of Kenyans. And one of the greatest reasons why this is because the economy is growing by resources that Kenyans have given to the government, have not been paid. For example, pending bills by national government alone now, the verified ones stand at above 500 billion shillings. So it means that we have 500 billion shillings worth of goods and services that are contributing to this economic growth in the country that are owed to Kenyans. And you see, the ripple effect of this is someone who has built a CBC classroom in Imodo and has not been paid. It means he has not paid the hardware where he took the cement from. It means the laborers that did that project have not been paid. It means that he has not paid his rent, and therefore his landlord is owed money. So once now we are able to now have this money released into the economy, into back, especially through the pending bill, we're going to see now a circulation of money in the economy and money in people's pockets. And that's just national government alone. Talk about county governments, and the ripple effect of this is Kenyans, you may say that I don't supply anything to government, but you probably are a landlord and your tenants are not paying. You probably even just ulikopesha rafiki yako pesa na hajakurudishia kwa sababu rafiki yake mwingine alifanya kazi na serikali na hiyo pesa haijai kurudi. Kwa hivyo once we unlock now this money back in the economy, once we have the ministerial projects, when a project stalls, the value for money is not realized. So we have used taxpayers' money. We have built a hospital. That hospital is not complete. It's not treating patients. We've built a school. Hiyo shule haijaanza kufanya kazi. We've dug a dam. Hiyo maji ambayo inafaa kukuliwa kwa hiyo dam haijaenda kwa wakulima. So all these small projects, once we do that, that money now will be seen to get into the pockets of Kenyans. Right.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Kuria, the Member of Parliament, Molo constituency. I'm now joined by Mheshimiwa Roko. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for joining us. And most of the members of Parliament I've spoken to here have said that the President has addressed most of the issues that Kenyans have been raising. Yes, he has addressed, but has he addressed them to the expectations of Kenyans?
I think we are just 2 years to
in this government, Kenya Kwanza government, and now broad-based government. And we have 3 more years remaining, bearing in mind where we are coming from as far as the economic status affecting the Kenyans. The president has made very strong effort, very big stride in terms of stabilizing the economy, the prices of commodities, the foreign exchange of our nation. And it is true, there are still challenges as far as most of the Kenyans across the country in terms of making or meeting the needs of day-to-day needs. But there you can see there is serious progress, there is serious effort which is emanating from the president. What I can say is we have a challenge with the team which is in place. For instance, when we talk about SHA,
an issue that had raised a lot of concern by Kenyans, that it was not really being implemented to the satisfaction of those seeking health services.
It is an extremely good program, but the implementation, we want to see by weekly update from the minister in charge, from the technical people in charge. We want to see them updating Kenyans. What are these challenges which Kenyans are facing? What is this they can be able to do to ensure the registration and they are being served in the hospitals we have in the Republic of Kenya? So I'm urging the minister in charge of health, the PSS in charge of health, and all the technical people, whether it's the chairman of SHA, the CEO of the Social Health Authority, to make effort in updating Kenyans on exactly what they are supposed to do.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Ruto. Let me now engage another person with the speech by President William Ruto, who, by the way, from far I can see he's saying hi to different members of Parliament as he exits the presence of Parliament. Camera person is telling me to move towards this direction, so I'll invite the member of Parliament to just talk to us concerning matters to do with President William Ruto. Just have a place to stand here. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Yusuf Chanzu.
Member of Parliament here.
So President William Ruto has said that there is much that needs to be done in matters to do with abductions, and has called on the relevant authorities to step up this issue of investigations. What's your take?
No, that one, I think the issue about security and the agencies working, I think the president is right, because it's high time that our security agencies and even the investigative, they did much more. Even the issue of security, as you know, what is in place today about security, particularly when you go to police and so on, these things which are done many years ago at independence, like places like you have for training. Kiganjo is an old place. The training, I think, which was 6 months for the police and the security people, I think is not enough because of the sophistication of crime and so on. So I think there is need for this to be stepped up so that it can be done well. The other thing that I think, which I would really like to say just very quickly, the president talked about the issue of affordable housing. It is true that the country has grown and the world has grown. We are going back to what we call mashinani. We have devolved and so on. So it is good that as government prepares, we must prepare to house our people in decent accommodation. And that is the reason why the issue of housing was one of the pillars in Kenya Kwanza government. And I'm happy to say that there are houses going on over the place, and there is commitment of government to have affordable housing in every part of every county. And what it means, affordable housing, is that land belongs to all Kenyans, and it held in trust by government. So that's why land is zero rated, and therefore you get the houses at a cheaper price. Right. And I encourage all people who can, to come up and apply for the houses so that everybody can have decent accommodation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Yusuf, for giving us those insights. And I want to continue engaging different members of Parliament and also leaders who attended this and who are following keenly on the speech by President William Ruto. Of course, it took about 1 hour or so from the time he started reading his speech and addressed several issues. And of course, talks about various issues that Kenyans have been raising, and I want to just have at least one or two more members of Parliament or leaders who are going to give us insights maybe concerning this speech by President William Ruto. Let me engage Honorable Mawathe, he's a member of Parliament, Embakasi. He tells me to wait a bit as he waits there, and then he is going to be, of course, giving us some insights concerning today's speech. Let me also have Honorable Adani Kenan, who is going to be giving us just concern. Hi, how are you? Good evening. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us here on KTN News. President William Ruto says that various issues that Kenyans have been raising. He started his speech by saying that these are some of the issues that Kenyans have been raising and they feel like they are not being addressed, and he was ready to address these issues. The issue to do with health, the issue to do with education, the issue to do with cost of living. Let's deal with the matter to do with the cost of living. He says that production has really increased since the introduction of the subsidized fertilizer. What's your take, Mheshimiwa Adani Kenan?
I think President, first of all, has addressed a number of fundamental economic, political, cultural, international, diplomatic, corruption-related issues in his speech. You look at, first of all, this is a constitutional issue. The annual set of the nation address is a constitutional issue. What the President has demonstrated is accountability to the rule of law and constitutional order. Let me start with the issue of cost of living. Last year, everybody was preoccupied with the issue of reduction of cost of living. Today, nobody talks about it because things have worked. Things have worked because of the provision of fertilizer, subsidized fertilizer actually to our farmers. That has immensely encouraged our farmers, thereby reducing the cost of food. The issue of the drastic decline of the Kenyan shilling against all international currencies has also been addressed. And today our shilling is fairly stable. That impacts on our external debt, and you know it's done because everything is done through the internationally strong currencies. Secondly, the issue of Adani has been on the lips of every Kenyan. The Adani issue, the way it was crafted, the way it was being implemented, left a lot to be desired. And therefore, from the beginning, nothing was being seen as suspicious, corruption-driven, and therefore, Kenyans in their totality were opposed to any corruption-laden process in taking over our national asset, the JKIA. And therefore, the President he has remained alive to the wishes, to the aspirations, and to the debate by the Kenyan public. And more fundamentally, today, the American government has made a decision against the Adani groups. And therefore, fundamentally, Kenya being a responsible member of the international community, there is no way Kenya will have just ignored that serious indictment on the Adani group by the US government. And that clearly, again, demonstrates that we are a country that lives within the rule of law. But more importantly, the issue of security. And I think there's one thing that the President has alluded to. The issue of abductions, the issue of illegal confinement, that must be addressed within the confines of the law. I am persuaded that there are criminal elements within the security sector who are not listening to the President. In particular, take, for example, Wajir. One of the MCAs, elected MCAs, is missing for the last 70 days. And we know that MCA is being held by elements within the security sector. And yet nobody wants to talk about it. And what we have been saying is, let everybody be accountable to the rule of law. If that particular MC has committed any crime, take him to the court, let him be subjected to the due process, and people will accept. But holding somebody in illegal confinement, and yet you won't be true to a true believer in international law, doesn't add up. Again, what the president has also commented on is the issue of SHA. There are teething problems, serious challenges. But I think one thing that I really like about his address is decisions must be made. Decisions that we were avoiding for the last 60 years are being made right now. The teething problems will be there. The transition will be painful. But ultimately, I am persuaded that SHA will work and every Kenyan will have a health facility, a health cover that adds value to both their mental health and their physical well-being. And equally, you see, Parliament has also been challenged. We are told to work. And therefore, it's up to us now to properly legislate. And I want to urge my colleagues not to wait for the head of state annual address. Let's be very pragmatic. Let's think out of the box and remain also committed to the rule of law by being the servant of our electorate.
Right. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Adani Kainan, Member of Parliament Elders. And I want to engage the former Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Biden Muturi, who is now the Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, just to hear what he has to say, his take concerning the matters that the President has raised. And of course, he has talked about matters to do with the employment abroad and him being head of the public service. He's saying hi to various leaders. I want to just engage him also about the labor export. Thank you very much. Our former patron of the Parliamentary Journalists Association and also the former Speaker of the National Assembly and now the Cabinet Secretary for Public Service. Maybe the issue to do with employment has been a big issue in the country, and the President has said that the government has done much to try and create opportunities even abroad. You sit in the Cabinet and you have much of what the Cabinet discusses. Do you feel the last 2 years right now that the issue of employment has been sorted out?
No, it's not a question of it being sorted out, because there's nowhere in the world where there isn't some form of unemployment. So what is important is to make some reasonable strides, putting in place mechanisms that will help create jobs by creating the necessary climate, even as locally for purposes of local investments, which will help also create jobs. But also, this thing about foreign employment or employment in foreign countries is not something that people should wish away. There are countries who depend so much on foreign exchange remittances, and you saw today, just for the last 10 months. For the remittances from the diaspora have been some of the highest, very, very high. So it is something, and all that helps to grow the economy, because those remittances come to the country. So they help in a way to improve the economy. So the issue of job creation and employment is a continuous process. It's only that, jobs are created in all manner of spaces. There is a digital economy. There is what the President has expounded on several occasions about what is happening in the affordable housing space, what is being done in the tourism sector, what is being done in the blue economy, maritime, all these, and all of them, if you check, there are programs that have been designed to assist in alleviating the problem of unemployment in the country. Yes.
And before I let you go, Waziri, the issue to do with the conflict of interest. The President said that there is a delay in the passage of the bill on conflict of interest. You have been a speaker here for more than for 2 terms. Maybe where would you say there is an issue? Why is it really delaying? Because it seems the President is concerned about this.
Well, a law such as the conflict of interest bill is one that goes to address very, very serious governance issues. So that, for instance, if it is me where I am, surely, if there is the issue you've just raised about unemployment, I should allow everybody to have a chance. The moment I start trying to favor certain people, if it's in the area of procurement, which is one of the biggest challenges we have. Because you've read, of course, for the longest time, the reports from the Auditor General show close to over a third of the government budget goes to waste or it's lost. And it's lost mainly through procurement. That is where the cracks of the matter is. And I believe members of parliament, through maybe other forces, maybe having difficulties passing that legislation. But for me, I would say, please do it for country. Do it for country. You must be a patriot. This law is not to serve you as a person. It is to serve the entire country. And I think it is good for us. We are addressing the issues of good governance. That's part of the work that I have to do on a daily basis. Because my business is to give policy on issues to do with public service and human capital development in the country. Transparency in how we do with issues to do with employment, recruitment, interviewing, promotions, discipline, they must all be above board. Right. And this bill is trying to address all these things. Therefore, I'm not surprised that there's been this back and forth. And remember, it has to be considered by both houses because this law is not just for the national government. It must have application even at the county level. It's appropriate one. And the whole country now knows where the problem is.
Thank you very much, Waziri. I'm being told we are pressed of time, and definitely thank you for giving us those insights for that. Definitely that Cabinet Secretary for Public Service talking about matters to do with the conflict of interest, and definitely we are going to keep in touch. Mheshimiwa Mawadhe, I'm being told we are out of time, but I can give you just a minute very fast just to your reaction. I'm being told we are pressed of time, and we need to conclude just as we wrap.
Thank you. My name is Mawadhe, Musili Mawadhe, MP Embakasi South. So, what we just heard what the president said. This is a reaction out of pressure. The wananchi should give, let me give the kudos to wananchi because they have applied pressure until the Adani deal has been cancelled. Right. But the Adani deal is not fully cancelled because there is 104 billion shillings that is sitting in that program. That one. So there is the software. The reason why there is a failure in that is because of the software. Then he still needs to cancel the software supplied by the Adani. Number two is the issue of the JKIA. The figure was 208 billion shillings, and yet they were putting it at about They were putting it at more than 386 or 300 something billion, right. almost more than 60% more. So there is need to really keep the pressure. Common Mwananchi, the payslip has been squeezed so much. Mwananchi was expecting to hear tax cuts so that they can stop suffering. Thank you. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Honorable Mawar. The time is not on our side. And we've listened to most of the leaders and they have given their reaction concerning the speech by President William Ruto this afternoon at the joint sitting here at the presence of Parliament. I want to hand it back in studio. Sam Amani ambaye amekuwa akifuatilia kwa karibu sana yale ambayo tumekuwa tukifanya hapa. Sam Amani, nitakuwa nikirejesha kwako ili tuweze kukamilisha kutoka majengo ya bunge na kutakia wakati mwema, na kwa niaba ya wote ambao wameweza kufanikisha matangazo haya ikiwemo wapiga picha wetu Cyrus, Kibet, Langat na vile vile hata mwelekezi wetu Maka Nyumba na wengineo.